Jai Hind students. Welcome back to the Python tutorial. And previous class we had discussed about the function, that is working with the function. And today again I'll continue with the working with the function, the rest of the objectives. And today's objectives are returning values from a function. We discussed what returning or return statement is in Python. We'll see it again, and then we'll continue the returning, then the multiple values. Python can return the multiple value that we'll discuss. Then the what composition is, a scope and lifetime of a variable, very important, local and global, and resolving a scope of a name. We will discuss that, and the mutable and immutable properties of a past data object. These are the objectives of today's in the chapter working with functions, and it's a session 2 of mine. I also discussed the previous video. You have to submit the complete works of yours till so far what I covered. The notebook I want on WhatsApp number of mine, and it's a request to all, before Sunday it should be submitted. Monday I'll not consider anyone if they are submitting. You can submit today or latest by Sunday. Now let's see what returning values from a function. As you all know, the function can return a value or cannot return a value. The function which return a value is non-void type of function, and the function which not return a value are the non-void. It means the void function are the function which never return a value, and non-void function are function which return a value. That is what two categories of the function we discussed in the previous video. Now, return a statement is a statement that we use to return a value in Python. You also discussed that in the previous session of mine. Now, if I'll take an example of the function df, and the function name suppose sum, and it will take a two parameter x and y that I'm passing. Since it's a function, you have to put the column, and then here I'm saying z equal to x plus y, summation of it, and then I'm saying return z, and you can call the function now sum 5, 6. Now, since it's a returning value, this function cannot be called like this. So you have to say a equal to this, and then say print a. Now, in this program, as you can see, this def is a keyword, sum is a function name, and two parameter x and y I'm passing. I'm totaling that x and y value and storing in the z, and I'm seeing z with the help of return statement, not by the print statement. So once this function sum will be called by someone, the value of z will return to that. That's why a is calling here. The value of this z will stored in a, and we have to see the a. This is how a function return a value. Now, Python is a unique to return a value. In every programming language, a function returns a single value, but the Python is exceptional. In case of Python, we can return more than one value by a function, and questions can be how many values a Python function can return. That depend on the situation. A Python function can return 1, 2, 3, 4, depend on the situation. The answer is not a single value. Answer may be more than one value can be returned by the Python function. Now, if you want to return more than one, then you may do like, for example, if same again function, I want to return the different value, what changes I have to do? Just see. And in the x and y, if I'm saying z1 equal to x star x, z2 equal to y star y, and then I'm saying return, and then z1 comma z2. As you can see, but here now again we have to z1 and z2 is coming in the a, then you can see that value. Otherwise the different way we'll use to call it also. First try to understand the body. These two variables that I passed, And in Z1, I'm again squaring of x. In Z2, I'm squaring of y. And then I'm saying return Z1 comma Z2. It is giving me the Okay, now see the what composition is. Passing a parameter or argument in a Python function in the form of a composition data type. Now, see for example, if I'm writing a function df and say sum, which will take two parameter x and y, and as you have seen in the previous case, z equal to x plus y and return sum. And now at the moment of calling, if you are saying sum, since it's a returning value, so a equal to sum, and inside the bracket if I'll say 5 plus 6 comma 6 plus 6 in the another bracket, then bracket close. I'm not directly passing the value of x. Instead of that, I'm using a 5 plus 6. And this is what the composition parameter. So you may pass a argument to a function at the moment of calling in this way. Or you may call this function sum, and then inside the bracket you can say 5 star 2 comma 6 star 3. This is also the way, one of the way you can pass an argument to a function, and that's why it's called a composition parameter. So what is composition parameter? That must be very clear. Now scope and lifetime of a variable, local and global. A scope of a variable is the area within Python program till that a variable can access is called a scope. Once we declared a variable in a function, the scope of that variable is within the function, and that is what a scope is. And the lifetime of a variable is till the time variable exists in the memory, and that is once program start till program execute are called lifetime of a variable. So entire again session of program executions are called lifetime of a variable, and a scope is the area within our program or Python program till that we can refer or access a variable is called a scope of a variable. Now, as you can see in this case, an x, y, two variable we declared, and it's in a function. So, a scope of this x and y within the sum. Outside it, if I'll say print x comma y, it will give me an error. Why? Because x and y is not accessible here beyond of the function. The function is over. Outside Python doesn't know x and y, and that's what the local scope of a variable is. But if the same x and y, I declared x equal to 5 and y equal to 10, and I'm saying x and y, I'll get the 10 or 5 and 10 as an answer, since it's a global. So global scope of a variable, once we declared a variable outside a function or just at the beginning of my program, it's a global in nature, and once a variable declared within a function or in a particular block in our program, it's called local. That is what the local and global scopes of a variable are. Now resolving a scope of a name. Now if you want to refer the same in XY here, we have to use the global word. To access a global variable within the local environment, we can use global x, global y. Then you are referring the same variable that you declared as a global in the local. So whatever changes will occur, that is occurring at the same place. So both answer will be the same. Now there is a resolving scope of a name. Once you execute a program, and if there is a reference of a particular variable Python interpreter found anywhere, then first the Python interpreter search that in a local environment. Local environment, as I mentioned, where I am accessing or referring that, within it, it will try to search. That is what the local environment is. If the Python interpreter not getting within the local environment that variable reference, then it will go to the enclosing environment. Now enclosing environment can be, suppose in this room, and there is a small room. So my local is where I am, but my enclosing environment is I can go inside that room, that is a small room in this room, and I can search it. That is what the enclosing environment is. For example, you may consider a function within the function, and inside function you have a variable. And if the variable that you are referring inside the function is not within it, it will go to the upper function, that is enclosing environment. And third, if it is not getting in the enclosing environment, to go to the global environment, means beyond of this, as x and y is a global here. And fourth is a built-in environment. Built-in environment is the function that we use, ready-made function that we are using, for example, LAN or print. These all have a built-in environment. Anywhere you can use it, locally you can use it, globally you can use it, anywhere you can use it. That's why it's called a built-in environment. So first search will be there in the local environment. Once we are referring a particular variable in the Python program, then it will go to the enclosing environment, then it will go to the global environment, and at last it will search the built-in environment. This is what the resolving scope of a name in Python program. Now, mutable and immutable properties of a passed data object. In Python function, we can pass a parameter either as a mutable or immutable. Now, mutable and immutable both are the data type in Python, as you know. Once it is a mutable data type, it means the changes that you want to do is possible in that variable, and whatever changes you made after declaring that variable will reflect in the same variable, because that variable is always referring the same memory address in Python. But if it is an immutable data type that you passed as a parameter, and changes that you did in that variable later will create the another again variable and referring at the different memory location. So it depends on the data type that you passed as a parameter to a function are mutable or immutable. If it is mutable, then all changes that is taking place in that mutable with that mutable data type will always reflect the same memory address. It means it's only hold the last again copy of that value. And in case of immutable, if you pass the immutable data type as a parameter to a function, then of course the changes that you do it in that or try to do in that will make a separate copy of it, because immutable never allow you to change the data at place. And that is what losses mutable and immutable properties of passed data object. With this working with a function in the Python session 2 is over, and 3 chapters of the Python, chapter 1, chapter 2 and chapter 3 is also over. Kindly go through the exercise, try to solve it and complete again notebooks from the beginning until the last. I want before Sunday you should submit. This is a clear-cut message from my side. I'll not receive or accept any notebooks or any work after Sunday. So it's better to submit today or at last by tomorrow evening. Thank you all. Next Monday, I'll again start the next chapter of the Python. So there are 7 chapters I covered, 2 chapters of SQL, 2 chapters of networking and 3 chapters of Python. And this is a unit 1 going on, unit 2 and 3 of your book is already over. Thank you all.